Welcome to the Good Life. Thank you for stopping by. I am Patrick Harney, and as always, thank you to all of you who subscribe, who like, who share, who comment, and just listen and watch, and make sure that that you let me know that you enjoy it or that you enjoy what you're seeing and hearing. Always, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. You can also watch this on YouTube as well. So today I have a good friend of mine. His name is David Kaye, and he runs the David Kaye Poker YouTube channel and also on Twitch. He's been a childhood friend of mine for, oh boy, we've been friends since about 20 years. We've been friends for about 20 years, which means I'm old enough to have a friend for 20 years. That's wild. But yeah, so listen, we're going to get into a conversation and kind of talk about some of those childhood memories that we have. We'll talk about his career in the poker game. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. It's been a while, so enjoy. David Kaye.
How's it going? Good to see you.
My old neighbor.
Yes.
Childhood friend.
The Montebello Avenue days.
Yes.
Come full circle.
Yes, dude. How you been, man? You doing all right?
Doing good. Just like everybody else, getting through this crazy year that we've been going through, but always good to see friends, familiar faces, and instead of doing them in person, a lot more virtually. So I feel like we've all become professionals at this whole Zoom call, and one of the words that's part of our vocabulary these days, like you would have never believed before. So
yeah, you're not kidding. That's for sure. Speaking of the childhood days, when I was prepping for this episode, I was thinking back of all the stories and everything that we have, and all of the like the snack stand that we used to.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Back when, oh man, I don't even know what year it was, but every summer we always used to start a snack stand, just try to make some money so we could use that money to go buy cards, like basketball cards, football cards.
Yeah.
And what was funny was our parents would always buy all the snacks and everything for us. I would end up eating half of them. But we would always make like $20 each the first day. Like we'd be rolling in it, right?
Yeah.
We'd go blow it all on cards, but then like after that, we would like maybe make $1 each day.
Yeah, I think like the neighborhood parents, they'd come by, they'd see we're doing it. It's like, oh, we'll support these kids on day one. And then, like you said, we'd get so excited. We're like, oh, we'll be making $20 every day. So we go blow the money instantly. So we had the business idea down of how to make some money. We had no idea how to save the money and grow it. We just had to blow it instantly.
Yeah.
Which, it's been kind of crazy. I don't know if you follow the sports card market at all. Like I haven't really been collecting at all since we were kids, but like it's blowing up. So it's been kind of crazy to see all of that becoming so popular these days.
Well, and it's funny because actually my soon-to-be brother-in-law and I were talking about that actually, and because I haven't collected since we were kids either, but I still have all of my cards.
Oh, really?
And so he was telling me, he said, dude, you should look up some of these cards and see if they might be worth some money. Yeah, I mean, I've got, and I was looking through them, and I've got a Peyton Manning rookie card. I've got some heavy hitter rookie cards.
Yeah.
That I got to look to see if they're worth anything and see if I might be able to make some dough off of that. But and then also what's funny too is, I mean, the amount of times that we would, because there was at one point where there was like 12 kids in the neighborhood, or like 14 kids in the neighborhood at one point. And so we'd always go down and play baseball down at the park.
Yeah.
And I remember because you were like 4 years older than me, right? I think 4. Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, you were always a crazy athlete anyway. But like it really showed in baseball, like the age difference, because you would just crank balls like out to the street, which may seem like it's not a big deal, but we had an actual baseball diamond like at our park. So, and so I remember I always wanted to make sure that I got you on my team because then I knew we would win.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like, yeah, I would say I was a pretty good athlete for my age, but on the fact of it is that, you know, like you were 4 years younger. I think a lot of other people were maybe a year or two younger. And it doesn't sound like a big gap, but the younger you are, the difference between like a seventh grader and a third grader or fourth grader, I mean, it's massive, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you said, on top of it, it's like realistically, like everyone was, I mean, a lot of people were like decent athletes. Like obviously you're a great athlete, but when you're 4 years younger, it's just like, there's going to be a difference, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like nothing you can do about it. But yeah, I definitely felt awesome out there, just like cranking out the hits, you know, and it's just like, I remember, like you said, I'd go to the street a few times and that was like, make me so excited. Like it would make my day. I was like, Mom, guess what I did today when we played baseball? And she's like, oh, that's so exciting. But you know, it would make my day for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also too, I remember, there was a day where down at the empty lot, which was across the street from your house, two properties down from my house, there was a massive, like hornet's nest or bee's nest up in the tree.
This is gonna be a bad memory. I already know where you're going with
this. and I remember, of course, it was our mission to get this thing down to the ground, right?
Very logical.
We wanted to create as much disruption for these bees as possible, not thinking that they could create disruption for us. And so I remember we're chucking everything we could at it. And this thing was massive, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember you took a bat and you threw it and it stabbed right in the center of it and dropped it. And I kid you not, it was like a scene out of a war movie. Everything slowed down, right? Everything just, and the way I remembered it, everyone's just like, run, you know?
It's like when they pause in the middle of moving, like, and this is when I knew I'd made a mistake, like that meme that you'll see. I was like, that is my moment when I'm like, that's when I made a mistake.
Yes. And I remember seeing you, like we're all running, and I remember turning and seeing you just standing there like in shock.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just hear this, and you turn and you just, I've never seen you run so fast down to your house, and you had gotten stung on the lip.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we all ran across the street to your house thinking that the bees somehow couldn't travel across the street. and I remember after a little while, we went up to your house, and I remember knocking on the door and your dad answered, and you're standing in the background just like, you know, and your lip is like swollen over your top lip. And your dad was like, yeah, I think David's done for today.
Yeah, that's funny because that's how my dad is. Like, he's not super like over the top emotional. He's just like very straight face. So that's like definitely so him. But yeah, that was the bee won that battle. You know, I thought I'd won, but I did not win that. So I decided to retire from chucking things at a bee's nest after that day. But I mean, it was, and like you said, going back to the slow motion thing, I remember that it was like, obviously I'm going to like think of things crazier than they probably were, but it was like, from what I remember, it was a huge bee. And it felt like it sat on my lip for a couple of seconds and then stung me, like basically taunting me before.
And of course it was probably like the queen, right?
Well, that's how I always tell the story. Now, do I know if that's true or not? No, but it, you know, it enhances the story, and it's what it felt like at the time. But yeah, probably not the best decision I've ever made, but I've kind of stayed away from bees since then.
But hey, it does make for a great story.
It does.
And you know what's also funny too is going back to the baseball thing. Was I remember there was one story too where I was going against you, like, right? I was on the other team and I was pitching. Now, we always said that it was slow pitch, but with some of us it was fast pitch, right? And so for you it was fast pitch. and I remember you were up to bat and I threw it and you hit it and it just beelined and hit me right below my kneecap and dropped me so hard. And I remember grabbing the ball like while I'm on the ground, just like trying to toss it over to first. Granted, you were like basically already at second. And dude, I've never felt a dead leg so hard. Like, dude, it hurts so bad, but just like my whole leg just like went numb.
And then let's talk about how instead of me coming up to you as a concerned friend to make sure you're okay, I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that you're down. I'm already rounding to second. Like that doesn't one bit surprise me at all, right? Like I'm just like, he'll be fine. I just like keep zooming around.
Which is funny because, and it's funny you say that because that's how we all were.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah.
And even like I always remember too, like when Philip and John Pressure would always shout out to them, would always fight because they were brothers.
Yeah.
John was in my grade. Phil was 2 grades ahead of me, 2 grades below you. And they would always fight. And John would always just take his baseball mitt and just chuck it to the ground and walk home.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I quit.
He's like, I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. Yeah.
Yep. But I will say you are responsible for my love of basketball, my friend.
Yeah, that is, we had some battles back in the day. It was fun.
No, they weren't battles. They were slaughters.
Yeah.
I hated basketball for a long time because of you. And then I grew to love it because of you.
Yeah.
The amount of times that you would whoop my ass, man. I mean, just like, it wasn't even fair. But then I started to get older and we'd start getting other friends of ours to come play. So I would like try to hold my own because typically you would guard the buddies that you brought.
Yeah.
So I had like a moment of breath, to be able to take a breather and maybe get a shot off.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny you say this because I do remember that of like, I remember having this conversation with my parents and be like, oh, how'd it go? And like, oh, me and Patrick played basketball. And then like, how was it? And I was like, oh, I won like 11-0. And again, it's nothing against you. It's like, I'm in 7th grade, you're in 3rd grade. And my mom would be like, can't you like let him score a couple points? And I'm like, and I look at my mom like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, let him score. And it's just like that competitive nature in me. And kind of going back to the baseball thing. And like, it's just like not in my nature to say that. But I also very vividly remember, I want to say, so when I was coming back from college, this is maybe your junior or senior year of high school. We played one-on-one in my driveway, a couple games. I don't know if you remember this. And there's one game, it's coming down the end. I think we're playing to 21 and you're up like 19-15 or something like that. And I'm like, there is no way I am losing. I don't care how good Patrick is at basketball now. Like in my mind, it's like, it's almost like, so I don't have siblings. So to me, it's like older brother, little brother. I don't care if little brother makes it to the NBA. I would beat him one-on-one. And that's how I felt. And then I ended up somehow coming back and winning. And I don't think we ever played again since then, but I was like, that was the first time I was like, wow, this is what happens when people get older and they get better. And, definitely could have lost that game. It's pretty funny to see it full circle like that.
Well, dude, you're very right. It is that same mentality because of the mental, like, and I also attribute some of my toughness that I had to those games that we would always play when I was little. But I think some of that, like, it is like that little brother, big brother complex where, like, no matter how strong I might get, my brother will always probably be able to beat me in a wrestling match, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I feel like with like like we could go play a game of basketball right now and I would immediately revert back to the mental state of when I was little and feel like I can't beat him. What is it?
And if two people like saw us today, they think that's hilarious because I'm 5'11" and you're 6'5", 6'4".
6'4", yeah.
Yeah. So like if you had to look at us and say like who's the basketball player, it's like clearly they're gonna point to you, right? Like no question asked. And like obviously you can, and you're like a really good shooter from when you play and everything. And like obviously you could just shoot over me. But like you said, it's like a mental thing, right? I'm sure it's like you imagine people back when you first like in that setting.
Yeah. But see, like you're only 5'11", but you were always so like, you were always so fast, but also always so intense.
Yeah.
Like every movement that you made was like a freaking train move, like going down the tracks. I mean, it really was. It was always very difficult because it felt like if you tried to step in your way, you're getting clocked into the garage. Like it's just how it was, Yeah, dude. We had so many fun memories back then. That was a great time. A great time to grow up, a great way to grow up because there was just enough technology that we could have fun with it, but we weren't addicted to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I tell people that all the time. I'm like, we were in the perfect age because it's like, and it's because I'm older than you, like, I don't think social media even was a thing. And I mean, like there was Facebook, but not until I got into college did like Twitter and Instagram even exist.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm so happy that like I grew up when I did. And like you said, even technology, like, don't get me wrong. We played a fair amount of video games. That was a huge hobby of mine.
Oh yeah.
I loved the video games. Don't get me wrong. Like that was one of my things, but we also like, I guess playing outside I hear is like not a thing anymore. Like we would play like every day in the summer we were outside. We played I remember flashlight tag was the big thing in our neighborhood.
Yes. We had like 3 houses.
Yeah. So shout out to your neighbor, Roberta, because she would allow us to use, it was your house, her house,
the empty lot.
And then we had a couple different neighbors in the one next to you on the other side. So like you said, it'd be like 3 houses.
Carmen and Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like, and we'd have, like you said, we had such a good neighborhood of like 14 kids or something like that. And I mean, that's a lot for just like in traditional neighborhood. And I always tell people too, they're like, what was it like growing up as an only child? And I'm like, I mean, I had kids everywhere, so it didn't really feel like I was an only child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we definitely had it good there on Montebello Ave back in the day. That's for sure.
For sure, dude. And flashlight tag, man. Some of the games that we would play. I mean, we'd get people that would come from like out of town.
Yeah, we'd like call friends and stuff. We're like, dude, you gotta play flashlight tag with us.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, sweet. And be like, well, can I invite my cousin? He's gonna be in town from like Ohio this weekend. Yeah. Be like, yeah, dude, bring him along. Yeah, man. And also like the amount of fights that we would all get into, like the amount of like yelling matches, or some of the more troublemaker kids that were in our group. Inevitably, I feel like I'd end up fighting each one of them.
Yeah. You know? Like with flashlight tag too, because it's so objective. And again, going back to kids, I mean, I threw a bat at a bee's nest. Like obviously I wasn't very reasonable. There'd be times like clearly someone would get flashed and then they would make a scene that like, I didn't get flashed. Cause like flashlight tag, it's not like cut and dry. It's like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, like
an argument, but
like they would see you with the eyes, be like, oh, I got you.
Yeah.
And then they'd bring the flashlight over and you're already gone. Be like, no, you didn't.
And then it's like because there's so many kids, it's like if you flash it on 2 people, technically it's like, no, it was actually on Patrick. It wasn't on me.
Yeah.
So, that was a debatable game, but it was like a lot of fun, obviously. I mean, it's crazy to think that like that's not as much of a thing anymore with kids. And like I'm getting old enough to the point where it's like, I remember back in my day, I've become that guy. I'm the back in my day guy, you know? And I'm like,
oh man,
I'm like, I've really become the back in my day guy. So.
Back in my day.
But I do think like the kids playing outside is like one of them that I say it with. I'm like, back in my day.
Yeah. Yeah. Back when I was growing up, there was, there wasn't a single video game around during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that's how it is now, man. I mean, kids, they don't, especially with this COVID stuff. Oh yeah. Kids don't socialize anymore.
Yeah.
There's no socializing, which means, you know what the direct effect of that's going to be? When they're all adults, nobody's going to know how to interact with each other at all.
Yeah, it's I mean, this whole year is really tough. Like there's obviously the health concerns. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say is like, I'm so happy I'm not a kid during this era. Yeah. Can you imagine when we were kids not being able to see each other or for like a year and like not being able to do things? And I mean, anything up through high school, like as tough it is as it is as an adult, like as a kid, because also when you're younger, like you're just not going to understand what's going on and even understand why things are. So being a kid, like I can't imagine telling 7-year-old me that I can't play with my friends for a year. Are you kidding me? Like that's the worst thing to ever happen. So, yeah. And I think you're right. Like the world was already kind of going towards people being more independent and doing things on their own, which again, like you said, is not a terrible thing, but, and then you're just going to heighten it by everything that's been going on. It's going to be really interesting to see the outcome of like the impacts it does have on people coming out of this time period.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's been people that I know that have said that their kids like don't even want to come out of the house anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's a chore just to get them to go to the store with them. That's crazy to me, man.
Yeah. Like I was so excited to go to the store with their parents. Remember, going back to the baseball card story and like football cards, there was nothing better in the world than taking our $20 and going to Target or Meijer. And the whole ride, we're just so excited. And then, just to get those packs opened up. And
even at that point too, like, it's funny because, sometimes if I go to Meijer, if I go to Target or even Walmart had them, sometimes I'll stop by to see what kind of cards, like see how much of a selection they have now. They have like nothing now. We used to have like a whole aisle full to be able to choose from. But now, man, cards just have really fallen by the wayside. And that was such a big, like fun, exciting thing for us to be able to do when we were kids, was trading cards. You're like, oh, I'll give you this card, this card. Oh, it's a terrible deal, Yeah. And when really they were guys who, like, you could look at those cards now and be like, oh yeah, they had washed out after 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's like you traded basically 5 cents for 4 cents. It's not a huge deal. But like, I think I've actually like looked into the card market a lot. Like I haven't gotten back into it, but it's like, like you said, it's gone away from Target, Meyer and stuff. But if you look at the prices online for these, like they call them hobby boxes, the cheapest, do you remember Score Football? They're like the dollar packs.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically the equivalent of that for basketball, to get 20 packs is like a $500 box. And that's like the cheapest brand.
Seriously?
The market has just gone nuts over the last 2 years. So it's like, they're kind of pricing kids out though. Like, right. How can a kid afford to get in there? Whereas like we never had the super high end stuff, obviously, but at least there was something for us. And like, it seems like now that's kind of gone away. But like, if you look at eBay, I think there was a Luka Doncic card that just sold for over $1 million.
Wow.
For a card. Like and again, it's like the one thing where it's like the logo and the autograph from his rookie year, but it's like, you're telling me $1 million. It's just like
for a piece of cardboard.
And here we were getting dollar packs and we were so excited. I remember this would have been 2005 or 2006 when Reggie Bush was huge at USC.
Yes.
And they had like Matt Leinart, and he became a rookie in the NFL, and all we wanted was Reggie Bush cards. Like that's all. We were just so excited to get a Reggie Bush card. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, now that card's worth nothing. You know, it's just
especially now.
Yeah.
You know, well, and it's funny too, because I even think about like the basketball jerseys that we had, and I remember, you used to give me your old some of your old basketball shoes. You gave me a pair of LeBrons. They were like, was it like the LeBron 3s or something like that? They were white, gray, and blue.
Yeah.
But then you also gave me my first pair of T-Max.
Oh my, dude, you loved Tracy McGrady.
Oh, I still do.
That was is he like your favorite player of all time, would you say?
100%. Okay, this is good. Forgive me, world, but I'm gonna nerd out for a second. Okay. I have granted, a lot of these jerseys I got off of AliExpress.
Oh, I know that site. Yeah. The $25 jerseys.
Yeah. But they look so real. And then they got shut down. But I have a T-Mac Pistons jersey. I have a retro Rockets jersey, a retro Magic jersey, the Raptors jersey with the Raptor on it. I have a Spurs jersey when they picked him up for the playoffs.
So yeah, he probably played a total of 20 minutes in the Spurs jersey, but you had to get the jersey.
But I had to get the jersey.
That's when you know you're a fan. Right there.
And I have, I have the T-Mac ones that were the LeBron edition. So they're the white, green, and gold ones.
Yeah.
I have the black T-Mac 6s that had the piece of wood in the back with the strap over the top. I just picked up the T-Mac 3s or T-Mac 2s. So yeah, I'm a T-Mac nerd.
Those were the shoes to have back in the day, though. I remember. I want to say the 2s were with the stripes on the left, on the outside, and then maybe the 2.5s or the 3s had the stripes on the inside. Yes. I can't remember the exact one, but like I remember too so my favorite color was red. So I was like, growing up, our school colors were blue and yellow, but I would get the red T-Max. Color is not coordinated at all, right? It's like a bright red, and I'm rocking it with like a blue and yellow jersey, but I just had to have the red T-Max. Those are the ones I wanted.
Well, and Melo was your big guy.
Oh yeah, I loved Carmelo. And it's so dumb because like at first I just liked him because his name. I thought it was so cool. I was like, Carmelo, that's like such a name. But going back to the shoes, I know the funniest story I can remember is going back to LeBron. So these would have been different than the ones I gave you. So I was at a basketball camp, and Magic Johnson's brother's running the camp. So Magic Johnson shows up the last day. My mom just bought me these $160 LeBron shoes like the week before. But as a kid, I meet Magic Johnson. What's the first thing I'm thinking of doing?
Having him sign it.
Having him sign the shoes. And like, I go up to my mom to show her, I'm so excited. And then the look on her face is like, what did you just do? Like, I'm like, Mom, it's Magic Johnson. And it's like, she's like, can't you have him sign something else? And I was like, no, you have him. And it's not even like it's a Magic Johnson shoe, right? It's like a LeBron James shoe that Magic Johnson signed. Yep. So it's like, there goes these $160 pair of shoes just down the drain as far as my mom's concerned. But
and I could just see her just being like, David.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you thinking? But I mean, it's a kid's first instinct, right? Sign the shoe. I mean, nowadays it's probably to get the picture with them to post on Instagram. But
let's get a selfie.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't even have a conversation with them.
Yeah,
like, hey, can we get a picture? Cool. All right, see you. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then back in the day, it was like get the autograph. That's what you wanted.
For sure. So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today was because you are like a freaking jujitsu samurai at poker. And it's funny because I always remember growing up, you were always kind of wheeling and dealing and trying to, in terms of like whether it was baseball or basketball cards, football cards, and and you were always like calling people's bluff on everything, like it just everything always so when I remember when I saw you come out with your channel on YouTube, David Kaye Poker, I was like, this makes sense. This 100% makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I know so I've always tried to follow your, all the different videos and everything that you put up, and I am like, you would take all my money in poker. I'm not a good liar. Even though I'm an actor, it doesn't really translate to real life. Very different. And so, so I watched the videos and everything, and I listened to you speak, and I'm like, dude, like, you are so knowledgeable. It blows my mind. Or maybe you could sit there and be like, oh, I don't know anything. This guy's a schmuck. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But really, so like, how did you get started, and when did you get started into doing, starting your channel and really getting into poker and being like, you know what, I could really do something with this?
Yeah. So I think it's kind of two different stages. It's like, when did I start playing poker? And then when did I start doing content? So I first started playing, it'd been the summer of 2010. So this is going to show my age here, but this is the year before I went to college.
Whoa.
So, yeah. Whoa. I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it's been 11 years since I graduated high school, but
get your walker out.
Yeah, exactly. I got it in the back over there. I had to hide it from this. But
are you sitting in a wheelchair right now, or what is that?
So, but yeah, so a bunch of my friends that were like my age, so like, you were still young. We weren't going to invite, someone that's 14 to gamble with us. We had just hit 18. Yeah. So, but we had, I was always really lucky growing up, whether it was our neighborhood friends or like my friends in, my grade from middle school and high school. Like, I've always been really lucky. I've had great people around me and large numbers of people to hang out with. So I don't even know how it started. I think someone watched the World Series of Poker on TV one day and it's like, hey, we should try playing this. So we all sit down and play. And from day one, we're just all hooked. So we're playing like $5 buy-ins, and we're playing and we're having so much fun. It got to the point, I think we had numbers as high as like 15 people. So we'd have to have 2 separate tables within the same house to like fit everybody that wanted to play, which is crazy, right? Yeah. And it was just so fun. And my friends and I had always been really competitive. So we played a lot of video games. So this is going to show how much of a nerd I was. I would host video game tournaments at my house.
Oh yeah, I remember.
You attended a couple of them. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we would it'd be Madden and NCAA. So the football video games. And it was like a $500 buy-in,
$500 buy-in.
Yeah, $500 buy-in from high school kids here. So we would have it, and I'd like organize it a lot. It'd be like a double elimination tournament. We'd have 3 TVs set up. And this is like how the wheeling and dealing thing kind of goes back to. I remember I'd make people sign contracts that they were going to show up. So one time I had a friend, so it was a $5 tournament, and my contract I'd print out. I wish I could find it, but that'd be hilarious. It was like, once I pay my entry fee, like basically I can't back out. Right. So I needed that because, in my opinion, I needed that because I wanted to set the schedule before time. So like, if you didn't play a game for 2 hours into it, I didn't want you to have to be there early if you didn't need to. So one time, one friend didn't show up, and I think their parents got mad, and I like refused to give the money back. I'm like, he signed a contract. And it's like, I want to say it's like my freshman year of high school when this incident happened. So it's like, all right.
He signed a contract.
Yeah. A 14-year-old here is holding another 14-year-old responsible for a $5 contract. And so anyways, where I'm going with that though is like, so we were always really competitive playing. Now, with that said, I always felt like I was kind of next level competitive. Like, I don't think I've ever met anyone that hates losing more than me. Like, honestly,
it's very true. I have also never met anyone that hates losing more than you.
Yeah. So it's just like that really competitive environment. But then when we started playing poker for money, or NCAA tournament, video game tournaments for money, people's competitive level would come up. So it's like, I loved the environment that everybody started getting closer to my level. So even though, like, to me, the driver was never like, oh, I want to make people's money here. Mm-hmm. Just the competitive environment it brings is kind of what drew me to it. Yeah. So that whole summer, I mean, we would stay up till 4 a.m. like every night playing cards and being obnoxious, and that's kind of where it took off. And then I started playing some online poker when I went to college, and just kind of from there on went. Then as far as the content stuff, it really started honestly because of COVID. I mean, everything's been shut down, and I'm kind of like in my house, not much to do. I'm not very good at just sitting and doing nothing. Like I need to have a project I'm working on. So I'd always watched a lot of YouTube. I hadn't watched much Twitch, but I'd watched a lot of YouTube content. And I was like, this seems like fun. I'll try it. And I loved it right away and just kind of been going at it ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's interesting what kind of creative endeavors people have gotten into because of COVID. I started this during COVID. I mean, and I wouldn't have thought of it unless unless COVID hit and I started doing landscaping just to make some extra cash in the summer and was listening to all of Joe Rogan's podcasts.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, man, these are so entertaining. Like I would love to be on that show. And then I was like, you know what? I would love to have my own show. So then I spent 6 months, researching, getting everything that I needed, doing, listening and watching a bunch of different podcasts to kind of see how people do it and how the successful ones do it compared to the non-successful ones.
Yeah.
And I'd come out with this in January of this year and we're off and I love it. So it is interesting how that's one of those things, I guess, long story long for you is you were able to turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah.
Which is great, man. So what made you decide to make a YouTube channel? Because I know there are a lot of people that go on Twitch and, and there's so many different ways you can stream now. It seems. And so what made you decide to get on YouTube and start hammering content there?
Yeah, so it really just came down to, like you said, you did a bunch of research. I was the same way. So I'd watched, there's this guy's a channel, his name's Alpha Gaming. So he's a Twitch streamer, but he talked about a lot how it's really hard to move up in the directory because it's super competitive. And most people, when you're watching someone on Twitch, are only watching one person. And a lot of people will filter by whoever has the most viewers at the time. But when you're brand new, you're going to have nobody. So it's like, how do people find you, right? Especially like within the poker space, like I didn't have any name recognition or anything like that. I just kind of played like regional stuff and none of it was, stuff that's going to get you known anywhere. So I watched and he had talked about how you got to make sure that you're marketing yourself while you're not online. So he had basically recommended YouTube because it's like, you don't have to be live for people to see you, right? They just have to come across your videos. So he talked about doing less hours of being on Twitch actually, and then doing YouTube videos. So my original plan was really YouTube was just to market to my Twitch. And oddly enough, it flipped. My YouTube channel became much bigger than my Twitch channel. So it's interesting kind of adapting to that, but yeah, it was supposed to just be marketing for the Twitch, but now YouTube is really my main focus between the two.
Dude, you're getting thousands and thousands of views on your videos.
Dude, it's like surreal. I honestly can't believe it. Like when I first started for context, I remember my first 26, and I put out a ton of videos. So my first 24, 25 videos, I don't think I ever got over 100 views on. And like at the time, I remember I get to like 50 views. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had 50 people view it. And then now it's like every video I put out within the first 24 hours is a minimum 3,000 views. And it's just like been crazy to see like that trajectory, of just like kind of taking off. It's been pretty surreal.
I also saw the one video that you have. You have like 26,000 views on that video.
Yeah, it's really.
I think that video was it like a month ago or?
Yeah, maybe like 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago, yeah.
And it's hard to like compartmentalize like what that number means, but like I think of like, so Michigan State's basketball arenas I think holds like 15,000. So you're telling me almost 2 MSU stadiums worth have watched one of my like just one video, which is like when I think of it that way is like really crazy. So
yeah. So then at that point, are you able to, because I know YouTube's very particular about this, are you able to monetize your videos then once you start getting that sort of attention? Are you able to monetize those videos?
Yeah, so I just got to the point beginning of this year that I could. So there's 2 requirements you have to match. So the first one is you have to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And then the second one is you have to have 4,000 watch hours. So that means like if someone watches 3 minutes of your video, that counts as 3 minutes towards that 4,000. So I hit that mark, let's see, I want to say middle of February maybe. And then at that point, so I'd hit that, I had the 4,000 watch hours for a bit. I just didn't have the 1,000 subscribers. But once I hit that though, you can apply for it. I got approved really quick. And then you set up a Google Analytics or Google's AdSense account, and then that's how you get paid. Which, I mean, yeah, if you ever told me I'd make money off posting YouTube videos, I would have said that's ridiculous. But here we are. It's like, it's like, here we are. And it's like, it is kind of crazy. I mean, it took a lot of time though, right? Like I think I started creating content in late July.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're talking like 6-7 months till it got to the point where we're making anything. And like, I'm putting tons of hours into this, right? So it's like, you're not doing this to make money. But the fact that like now it's making something is kind of crazy. You know, it's like, I see, like, I just got my first Twitch payment for last month, my first YouTube Twitch payment for last month. And it's like, now I'm looking at what I'm getting now. And it's just like, it's really rewarding just kind of seeing the build up. Again, like the dollar amounts aren't like massive at this point or anything, but just the fact of like, you're making anything from doing something I'm just having fun with anyways it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, dude. And also, by the way, 6 months, that's quick.
Yeah. And that too is like, it's, at first I was like, man, I just want to keep growing. And like, cause especially my videos weren't getting tons of views at first. I was like, how do people ever get thousands? And then I started again, doing more research on YouTube, and these people that have like 200,000 subscribers now, they're like, oh yeah, it took me like 9 months to get monetized or 8 months to get monetized. I'm like, oh, I'm actually on pace to match what they eventually got to. So I guess I'm like, all right, I guess maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself. Like it's still, it's doing pretty good.
Yeah. And also too, I feel like when you go into it with the thought and the idea of, I want to do this because I enjoy doing it, not just to make money. If that comes, great. If it doesn't, oh well, I'm still enjoying myself. Then I think that's when the good stuff starts to happen. You know what I mean?
100% agree with that. I mean, it's like, when you try to focus on just making the money, that's a short-term route, I really think, but like, you're not going to love what you're doing every day. So like, I have a full-time job. So it's like, I'm doing this 100% on the side. So like, if I don't love what I'm doing, there's no way I'm going to put in these hours or else I'm going to be miserable doing it. Right. It's like, I'm doing it because I love creating the content. I love playing.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty sweet though.
So how many times a week do you put out videos?
So I currently put out 5 new videos a week. So it's, I put every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. on my YouTube channel. So I just consistently post. Another one of my like research things. So similar to your podcast, it's every Wednesday at noon, right?
Yep.
Plug right there. So you got the every Wednesday at noon, you got to look in. But like, so for example, like when your videos are posted, like I know when I go in my queue, Patrick's going to have a video today. So I think that was one thing I didn't do at first that I started doing that I think was really helpful, because the way that the YouTube algorithm works is a lot of it is based on how your views look in the first couple hours, and then they'll push out to new people. Well, if you get your loyal fan base to, smash the views early on, that's going to help grow you. So.
Yeah, for sure. And it is kind of funny too, how like, it's amazing how you really don't know which videos are going to do well and which ones aren't.
No idea.
Like I've had some podcasts where I'm like, man, this was a great conversation. People are going to love this. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. And it's one of my lowest viewed videos. Yeah. And I'm like, man, but then like, so I have one that I did with Rob Parks. I don't know if you remember Rob Parks.
No, I saw that I listened to it though. And you said he went to Hazlitt, right? He was like your
2002
or no, Allison's.
Yep. Okay. Allison's age. And that is, I mean, by far my highest. I mean, I don't have a lot of views, but that's by far my highest viewed video out there. And it's all, and what's also funny too, is I have some videos where I'll have a lot of views on the YouTube video, but streams on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or iHeartRadio. I barely have any. But yet I'll have like my lowest video view count on my channel. That video has one of the highest streaming numbers for those sites. So it's interesting how that stuff works. And it's kind of a crapshoot, honestly.
I mean, there's a lot of luck, like you said, for each video. Like, I mean, that's kind of always been my thing. And I'll plug in a cheesy quote because I really do believe it's a good one though. But it's like, success is when preparation meets opportunity. And it's like, there's a lot of luck involved in life, no matter how much you want to admit it. But you got to put yourself in a situation to get lucky, right? So like, for example, with your podcast, if you never do a podcast, you're never going to have some massive growing, right? Or following, because you never did one. Yeah. But if you do one, put in the work, you give yourself a chance. Yeah. So I think that's, that's a huge thing right there. Like there's a lot of luck involved in life, and you just kind of have to accept it and control what you can.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. So tell me, what is your goal as a poker player? Like what do you hope to get to? Because I know you're a very competitive guy. Mm-hmm. So I know you have probably set goals for yourself in this arena. So what are those goals? And and what does it take to be able to get to that point?
Yeah. So I think it's something, honestly, with poker, I've always struggled with a lot, because again, I'm not going to say money doesn't matter. Money makes a difference, but it's never been my driver, whether it be my content or my playing. It's never been like, so basically what I do is like, I just keep all the money in an account, only play poker with it. So it doesn't change my day to day at all. Like when I make money, lose money with it. But before COVID hit, my goal was always to play. So there's a couple different forms of poker to make it really simple. There's cash games and tournaments. So cash games is like you have a dollar amount in chips and then you play with it and that's how much it's worth. You can leave when you want. So you could buy in for $500. And if you have $700 2 hours later and you want to leave, you take it off, you get $700. Tournaments is you pay an entry fee, let's say $300, and then you get paid based on where you finish. So there's those two kind of formats. And I think for a long time, like I always wanted to do well in the tournaments because it was a really competitive environment. Like I want to win the tournament. Like to me, that was super satisfying to try to go after. Now there's a lot more luck involved in tournaments than there are in the cash games. So it's not exactly reasonable for me to say my goal is I want to win a tournament because again, there's gonna be a lot of luck, but there are, things you can do to give yourself a better chance. So I think a long time, like I wanted to just be able to play those tournaments and then whatever happens, happens. But now I think a lot of my goals have shifted towards content is like how big I want my YouTube channel, how big I want my Twitch channel. And I'm always the person that's going to shoot for the stars, man, like, and put it out there of like, I want to have the biggest YouTube poker channel in the world. Now, what's the percent chance of that happening? If we're being realistic, extremely low.
But there is a chance.
But there is a chance. And it's like, if you shoot that high and you can fall a bit short, but you're going to get farther than if you don't have a huge aspiration, So I've always been a huge proponent of just setting really high goals and just chasing after them, but then also being reasonable with yourself when you don't get there. So like, if I never get the biggest YouTube poker channel in the world, it can't be hard on myself, right? Like only one person's ever going to get that. And that's competitive to do, but it'll still help me push and grow to as big as I can, basically.
Of course. And that's the other thing too, is, one thing I've never really understood, and one thing that kind of bothers me too about even just like the way society works is when people say, well, keep your goals realistic, keep them.
Oh, I hate that.
Like, you know what? Go shove your hand in a car door. Like, all right, listen, okay. If you don't, why not shoot for the stars, as they say? Why not do that? Because then others have done it before. Yeah. That means it can be done again.
Somebody's got to be the top dog somewhere.
Exactly.
Why not you?
Exactly. And, and also what it does is it allows you to push yourself to a point where you can start having a lot of success for yourself, more success than you think you could have before. And then you can stop and look and go, oh, wait a minute. I've gotten a lot farther than I thought I would. Yeah. Let's see how much farther I can keep going, Yeah. And that to me, I always think it's, like when people say, oh, I have big dreams, big aspirations. Okay. Well, there's a big difference between a dream and a goal. A dream is just, I want this. Don't know how I'm going to do it, but it'd be nice. I'd love to do that. Yeah. A goal is I want this, and this is my path. This is my plan, my strategy to move forward and go get it. Yeah. And I think that's always the biggest thing for me that, growing up that was a big thing that my parents instilled in me was, okay, there's a difference. Know whether it's a dream or whether it's a goal. Mm-hmm. And if it's a goal, then bust your tail and go get it. Yeah. Accomplish it.
Exactly. And like you said too, and like I was mentioning, like I think a huge thing I've tried to get better at even is like when you don't meet that really high goal, still be proud of what you've accomplished, but it doesn't mean you're going to stop trying to get there. Like I never want to be the person that kind of settles for something. I'm like, I would rather way over push myself to be better than, kind of just hit like a status quo of like, and again, like it sounds hilarious of me saying like, I want the biggest YouTube channel in poker when I had 50 people looking at my videos. Right. Like,
but that doesn't sound crazy. Yeah. Because the biggest person who was the biggest poker channel at one point had 50 people watch their video.
Exactly. And it's like, now you look at me from 50 to, what I'm getting today. It's like, well, that's a huge growth. It's not anywhere close to that top level, but it's like, because I have that goal, that's what's gotten me where I am, so, but yeah, I'm definitely on the page with you, the attainable results. And I think the participation ribbon thing that people joke about, or participation trophies, that might be the most annoying thing to me ever. It's like everybody, you did a good job trying. And it's like,
no, you didn't. You lost.
Yeah. It's like, you didn't win. I don't know what to tell you. And like, even like second place trophies, I'm like, a trophy for not winning. It's like, and
You're
again,
the first place loser.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is showing how competitive I am, though. Like, there's nothing that drives me more nuts than participation medals and participation trophies.
Dude.
And I really do think it's bad, like, to give people that, like, the world isn't always going to reward mediocrity and things. You know, it's like you want, again, you're not going to be the best at everything. You're really not, but you want to work as hard as you can to get as good as you can.
Yeah. So. And that's the thing too, is, you know, people have to understand that. I mean, how many times growing up did we hear there will always be someone better than you at such and such?
Yeah.
Right. And we would say, yeah, okay. But in our heads, we'd be like, yeah, but I'm going to beat them one day.
Exactly. It's like, they might be better now, but I'm going to work harder than them. You know?
Yes. And dude, I am right there with you. The whole participation medal BS and trophies, and for, you know, you get a trophy for showing up, makes me want to vomit. Like, I used to get those when I was a kid for like different school stuff. I'd immediately throw them away.
Oh yeah.
And even my dad would look at me and he'd be like, do you really want that? Like, you really want that? And I'm like, no, I don't want that. And he'd be like, good.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the thing is, you know, it's to quote the very profound and deep philosophical film, "If you ain't first, you're last." Talladega Nights. You know, but that was kind of the mentality that we had growing up, because we were all so competitive, and I think we all fed each other's competitive drive.
Absolutely.
You know, because we were all pretty good competition for each other growing up.
Yeah.
And we learned that, okay, well, I'm going to work harder because I want to beat David at basketball one day.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, so I'm right there with you about all the participation thing. And there are people that will say, well, but as long as they worked hard, then you know, then that's a reward in itself. Okay, sure. Yeah, they worked hard. Good for you. You got off your butt. You went and did something. Great. But don't expect a little attaboy if you come in last just because you showed up.
Exactly.
No. Be like, okay, did you have a good time? Yeah. All right, great. Good job. That's cool. But I'm not going to give you a ribbon. We're not going to give you a medal because you showed up.
You know? Exactly. And I think a lot of it too comes down to people are always afraid of failure, right? So if you set your goals low, you're more likely to hit it. You're less likely to fail, you know? So it's like, and there's a healthy way to do it. I'm never going to say I've been the best at that over my life. Like, I'm definitely hard on myself. Like, I'm a perfectionist, you know, but like, it's still healthy, I think, to try and, you know, reach really high goals. And, you know, it's, again, just the participation thing. If you really do try and give your best effort, that is very admirable. It can be acknowledged, but it doesn't mean you need a trophy or a ribbon for doing it, you know? So,
yeah. And also, like, are you telling me that 20 years from now, you're going to look at that trophy that says participation trophy and you're going to be like, damn, I'm proud of that. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
I've entered that basketball free throw competition.
I was there. I was there that day.
Yeah, I was there that day. It's just
I shot the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. So, and to kind of go back to the point of turning a negative into a positive. One thing I always ask everybody that I have on here is, how does positivity play a role in your life? Because especially with, you know, a game like poker, where there's money on the line, right?
Yeah.
That could be, if you lose a decent amount, like, that could be devastating to some.
Yeah.
So, like, mentally and financially.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but so how do you keep a positive mindset, and how do you really focus on making sure that you're doing it for the love of the game, not for the need of the game, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So I think there's kind of two aspects of positivity. I think there's one of like sharing positivity with others, and then one like personally, like within yourself, being positive about what's going on. So I think I've always been pretty good about with other people having a positive mindset and just like having fun, you know, creating a good environment for people, someone that people want to be around, positive to them, encouraging them to do well. Then there's the other aspect of internally, something admittedly I'm not very good at naturally, right? Because I'm super hard on myself, right? Because I have these huge goals. So I think the biggest thing, like you said, is just, at least when you have these huge goals, and even if you're not exactly where you want to be, is just like reflecting back and being proud of what you have accomplished, you know? And even within that, like, I think it's one of the biggest strides I've made is from a kid to an adult, is like, when I was growing up playing sports, if you had asked me of basketball, I'd have said I was the worst basketball player ever. I can think of maybe,
really?
Yeah. Like, I can think of maybe 4 games I was happy with the way I played. And
Jeez,
and again,
dude.
but that's so bad for you mentally, right? Like you're going to play worse because of that.
Yeah.
And it's like at the time I was so hard on myself, but then now in poker, it's like honestly one of my biggest strengths because a lot of people, like you said, emotionally, they can't handle losing. They cannot handle losing the money, anything like that. And like one hand get like something unlucky happens to them, it just blows them up the rest of the day. Whereas me, like honestly, my biggest strength to a degree, I think is really just like my mental ability, just to like, okay, something bad happens, move on to the next hand, So kind of back to like, there's luck involved in life. In poker, it's more obvious, right? It's like, okay, you have the better hand. They hit their 20% out chance against you. It happens. But if the next time you keep putting yourself in that situation, you're going to make money in the long term. And being upset about it is not going to do you any good. Yeah. So I think in the positivity, it's like something I'm really proud of looking back. Like I said, I think it was something I was absolutely horrendous at as a kid, but now it's like one of my biggest strengths, I think, not just in poker, but just like kind of my life in general too. So.
Well, man, that's good. That's good that you've been able to look at it that way because, I mean, a lot of people don't have that sense of self-reflection to be able to say, yeah, I was terrible at that when I was a kid, but now I'm using it as a strength or using it as a tool to, to do well at what I'm doing. So that's great, man. Okay. So yeah, before I wrap every show, I always have this segment called The Goods, just a few questions, just kind of pick your brain and see, see what you think on some things. So let's get to it, shall we? Numero uno. What is your go-to drink of choice?
So I'm going to show off my...
You're trying to loosen up a little bit, have a little beep, beep, beep,
I'll give two answers. One is going to be the child in me. I love strawberry lemonade. So I got to put that one out there first. Like, okay. Honestly,
preface it with that.
I could drink that all day. Like terrible for you, all the sugar and everything, but like absolutely love it. Okay. As far as drinking, like I'm definitely not like a craft beer kind of guy or anything. I'm like very basic level. I get made fun of all the time. I like the fruity drinks. But I like a good cider. So like if I can get like an Angry Orchard, that's kind of my go-to.
Have you had Ace Pineapple?
I have not, but it sounds good.
Dude, if you're a cider guy, try Ace Pineapple cider. It is one of the best, super sugary, but so good, dude. Yeah, so definitely try that. Ace Pineapple and also Ace Brewery if you want to. Hey, if you want to sponsor the show, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what would you say your favorite part of poker is? Your favorite part of the game, the most satisfying thing for you?
I think it's just the ability to compete. So again, I think kind of before I'd said like, I hate losing. So I think there's a quote I heard they were talking to somebody. It's about like, what do you love about, and it was talking about sports. Like, what do you love about sports? Is it that you hate losing, you love winning, or you just love to compete? And if I had to ask me of those three, it used to be, I hate losing. Now I just love the ability to compete. Like I love being able to sit down at the table. And the thing that's really cool about poker is, again, you kind of always have people, no matter what you're doing, like, oh, I'm not really trying, or like, I'm not that serious about this. But when there's money on the line, there's not really many people that are like, I'm not trying, right? Yeah. Like people are trying to win. So I just love the competitive environment and just like what it brings out in people, and just like the ability to try to have to perform under pressure with
nice,
that.
Man. That's a great answer. That's awesome. And I think a lot of people could benefit from looking at it that way. If I just love to compete, yeah, that's awesome. So, okay. Maybe controversial here. Who do you think the greatest athlete of all time is?
Oh gosh, Michael Jordan, hands down. I want to admit that I am extremely biased in this opinion. So like LeBron James could win. He could have won like 12 NBA championships and I'd have gone Michael Jordan. So I'm just going to stick to basketball for now.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan. So, and my love of basketball really started because of Michael Jordan. As a kid, I buzzed my head all the way through senior year of high school every week because I wanted to be like Michael Jordan. My mom wouldn't let me go bald, so the next best thing was to get the buzz cut.
Dude, so, you would look so weird bald.
I know, exactly. Like, who sees like a little kid like that, like bald, right? So, but so again, like he is the reason I love basketball is Michael Jordan. So like, there's no way I'm going to be able to give an unbiased opinion here.
Okay.
But I think it's just like, if I can try to not be biased for a second.
Okay.
I'm just going to compare Michael Jordan and LeBron because I think it really kind of comes down to them. I think Tom Brady you can throw in there as well, but just being honest, I'm probably not as educated on like what takes to be the football great as composed to basketball. Mm-hmm. But if we're comparing Michael Jordan and LeBron, I think that if you put prime of Michael Jordan versus prime LeBron, I take Michael Jordan, but the longevity of LeBron's career is incredible. I mean, he's what, 17, 18 years in?
Yeah.
I mean, and if you ask me too, it's like, who's the better athlete? Who's more gifted? I'd say LeBron. I think he's the most gifted athlete of all time. He's worked extremely hard to get where he's at, but like that dude is, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. And again, a lot of it is because of the way he takes care of his body and everything. That's true. But man, Michael, I think the biggest thing is if LeBron had MJ's personality of like, that dude is a killer. Like Michael Jordan is like, we're not losing. I'm going to put us on our back no matter what. Like if LeBron had that mentality, I would say LeBron.
Kobe was the closest mentality wise to
so
Jordan.
Similar personality, mentality. Even the way he played was so like he had to pattern himself after MJ so much.
Dude, there's so many YouTube videos of like it'll be a clip of Michael Jordan doing a move and then a clip of Kobe Bryant doing the exact same move. You know what I mean? Of course. And even there's even a clip of Michael Jordan. He was asked, I think Ahmad Rashad asked him, Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. He goes, I'd have to say Kobe Bryant only because he steals all my moves.
Hey, it's true though. It's very true.
Yeah, and rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, man. That was tough.
Terrible.
See, I think that the greatest athlete of all time is Bo Jackson.
That's a fair one. I'll give you that.
Naturally gifted athlete.
Yeah.
Man, he never worked out. He just worked on a farm.
No.
And was a freaking house. And also to come back after getting your hip dislocated in football, getting surgery and coming back for the next season, that doesn't happen.
Well, especially back then, like modern day medicine, even now that'd be crazy. But like we're talking, that was in the 80s, right?
Yep.
When he had that happen. So it's like, and if you guys haven't seen the 30 for 30 on ESPN, Bo Knows, I think is what it's called.
Oh, so good.
Oh, one of the best ones they have. But yeah, it's like, and that's the thing too that people have to realize is like early in his NFL career, like that happened to him, right? And usually that ends a guy's career back then for sure. And he still bounced back. But like he played Major League Baseball on the side. So you're telling me some guy can just so good. Like, you know, I want to play that professional sport and just kind of show up. And like, that's what he did. And it's just like, I think that's a very good argument. I mean, that is, and just when you looked at him like a freak, like built like that. And especially again, comparing eras, like it's always hard because today's understanding of the body is way different of like how to develop the body, handling injuries. But like you put him in today's environment, he looks like one of the most beastly guys out there now. For sure. But you look at him, people in the 80s, it's like hilarious. You know, it's like when you look at him.
And to speak to his baseball career, I mean, I remember watching the play. I mean, it was a clip because I was too young, but I wasn't even born yet. What am I talking about?
I wasn't going to say that, but I was like, I'm pretty sure. I know I wasn't alive in the 80s, so I know you weren't alive.
So no, I wasn't. To see him run and chase down a ball, a fly ball in deep left field, run up the wall after he catches it. Not just like hit the wall and fall, run up it and run down, but also when he gets a ball out of the outfield and can throw it from left field all the way to home plate in time to get the guy out.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. And like the thing with the running up the wall thing, the best part of it to me is after he does it, like the rest of us are like, oh my gosh. And he just like throws the ball back in like it's just an everyday play. It's like no big deal. You know, it's just like what he does.
And he broke a bat over his head.
Yeah, out of anger. Who can do that?
People do that over their knees. Like he just did over his head. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so my final question, sir, is what are some ways that you keep yourself centered and keep yourself grounded? What are things that you do actively to try and make sure that you're solid? Yeah,
I think that a lot of it is just looking for ways to improve in whatever it is, right? I think that there's always be someone that knows more than you about everything, right? Yeah. There's only one person that can be an expert on everything in the world, be the top person. Most likely you're not gonna be the top person on any specific thing, right? Like that's a hard thing to hit to, but I think is like, just go to the experts on things and just listen to what they have to say and keep an open mind. Going back to my streaming, my content, my poker, it's like, am I a pretty good poker player relative to the average player? Absolutely. But the top couple hundred player in the world are so much better than me. Like it's not even close, you know? So like, it's like understanding that, hey, even in things you're good at, there's people better than you. So it's like, what can I take from them? Why are they better to try and kind of push yourself forward? So it can be anything, right? It's my poker, my content, everyday life, you know, like friendships, I mean, you can apply it really to anything. So I think it's just like recognizing even the things you're good at is like, there's gonna be someone that might know more than you. And unfortunately, today's day and age, I think everyone's kind of like, they feel, again, this is my old person showing, but it's like, they know better than everybody else, you know? And it's like, you know, there's people that dedicate their entire lives to whatever topic it is, but you that just read one paper is going to know more than said expert. And it's like, I mean, you just got to really accept that you're not going to know everything, and that's okay. And that's why, I mean, today's day and age, I mean, there's no such thing as, you know, being able to just Google search everything, at least like when I was young. Like I remember, I don't know if you would have had these, but like encyclopedias and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Where you'd have, so like today it's like, you don't need that because you just go on the internet. Like there's so much free information out there. Now it's hard to gather what's the actual good information and what's the bad information.
Ain't that
but
the truth?
You know, when you try to find the good information, it's like, there's gonna be people that are experts on each topic. My theory is go to them, you know, they're going to be the ones that know better than me and you do even. So,
yeah. Well, that's good, man. Well, hey, thank you very much for coming on. It was great to have you. It was great to see you kind of
virtually.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it was great to just kind of reminisce a little bit and talk, you know, just talk about life and talk about everything you got going. So on that, let everybody know where they can see your content and where they can follow you.
Yeah, so my name on all my accounts is David Kaye Poker. So my last name is actually Kaye. So it's Kaye spelled out Kaye, all one word. So mainly it's going to be on YouTube and Twitch. And then I also have Twitter and Instagram accounts that people can follow on some more like the personal just posts and stuff.
All right, great. So yeah, everybody go show him some love. Go subscribe. And, you know, and also on Twitch, you can give money on Twitch, can't you?
Yeah, don't need any of that from people, but yeah, you can like do subscriptions or like donations. But yeah, just a follow on Twitch is great. It's completely free and it's good.
Well, I'm saying it. Support your boy.
Around the universe.
But yeah, so David, thank you very much for coming on, man. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and really honored to be one of your guests here. Good to catch up with you as always, and good luck continuing to grow the podcast. You do a great job, and I'm excited to keep watching it going forward.
Thank you, brother. All right, and that wraps this episode of The Good Life. Thank you again for being here. Thank you to David for coming on board. And also, don't forget to check out all of his stuff. Check out his YouTube channel. Check out his Twitch, his Twitter, his Instagram, David Kaye Poker. And also, make sure to like and subscribe this channel and all these videos. And I hope you enjoy the content I'm putting out, you know. Having a good time. I hope you are too. So, we'll see you next week.